Welcome back to another edition of Her Love and His Peace. For those of you that don't know, we are in a distance relationship, and we are inviting you to some of our daily conversations that we have. And we talk about love, life, and relationships in the modern time. I'm, of course, the spoiler,
And I'm Yummy,
and I am her love.
and I am his peace.
Today, I didn't think I was going to record today. I know it's been a few weeks, and I decided to just push through it like a job. Um, to give an example of what I call blue days, uh, but they in the mental health realm or science realm or however it goes, they may call it winter blues or seasonal depression or terms like that. I just call them blue days because for most of my adult life, I never really understood what was going on with me.
Mhm,
And I know there's a lot of people that is affected by it because they do study it. And that's why there's so many terms for it because they study it in different realms of mental health, physical health, and things of that nature.
mhm,
So a good portion of my life, I never understood when, what, when, why, how, and even now, almost being 6 years old, I still don't understand the why. I just deal with the occurrence. And my whole point of kind of recording today is to one, let people know that it is real. It is not something that uh, people are just making up. Two, you're not by yourself. There's a lot of people that are affected by it because that's why they study it, because they know it's a lot of people that are affected by it. How many, I don't know. Um, and there's a lot of people that don't understand what they're going through. And so I'll tell you how it affects me, and then hopefully it'll give a little broader spectrum to somebody that has a child, doesn't understand, or has a spouse that does, and they don't understand what they're going through. And I've been in all those situations. So I'm the child that had blue days. As a kid, I played just like everybody else and whatnot, but there were time periods where I didn't want to be bothered with anyone. I stayed in my room, stayed to myself, and didn't want to interact with the world. And wasn't depressed like wanting to kill myself or anything like that. I just wanted to be by myself. The thing about it was is that it would hit out of nowhere and it still hits out of nowhere. I'm just now trying. I've tracked it to a point to where it only seems seasonal because the seasons change and it seems like it's seasonal. But with me, it's not seasonal. It doesn't change with the season. It just comes out of nowhere. And that's the hard thing about trying to track it. And so as you grow and be an adult, it's hard to track it because you're so entangled with everything. And the one thing I say is my mom and dad had no clue to what they were dealing with or what they seen or any of this. So it's hard to deal with something, especially in those times. We're talking the late 60s
Mm-hmm.
into the 70s. They have no clue as what they're dealing with me as in that part of the personality. So you start to get the labels of just being shy and yeah, I'm a shy and introvert and things. Yeah, I'm all those things.
Mm-hmm.
This is different from that. This is not just a introvert shy type thing. This is different from that. And a lot of people will say, well, no, it's just in your head. Yes, it's in your head. And
Yeah,
it's real. It
it is.
lives.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
it does.
Because if it isn't real, then how can I track the moments of it happening if it's not real?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I know how I interacted as an adult and as a kid, because when it's blue days and the world forces you to interact with it, because it does,
It does.
right? You get the angry man syndrome, and in my case, the angry black man syndrome.
Yeah.
You're forced to interact with this thing, even though you're personally going through the blue days. You have no choice.
You're right.
Right? I don't have
Right.
mega money, so I can just sit at home in my room and and do whatever. So it's a real thing. And as I look back over time, that is where a lot of the anger as a child and as an adult came from. Being angry because I have to go and interact with these people and I don't want to, because I am going through my own thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm forced to show up. And that
Right.
caused a lot of the anger. These days, the anger part is not as prevalent because I've learned to kind of live with it, not kind of live with it, but to live with it and to, at some point, especially with working that job, I had to make sure that I don't take that out on people,
Right.
because they are no way the catalyst of anything. They didn't do anything to me, and so I was aware enough, probably in my early 20s, I became really aware enough to not take that out on people. And some people made that fucking hard too. That became a thing. But so people say, well, what triggers it? What happened? I don't know. I'm almost 60 years old now. I don't know. You can be now. I'm not the happiest go lucky person around. I've been told that. I don't have the happiest disposition around, right?
Right.
But when it hits you, I get a overwhelming kind of sadness type thing going, and I just want to be left alone uh, because I don't want to try to, I don't want to be angry and take that out on people, and it really doesn't cause anger in the sense that you want to lash out on the world. It's more of an anger that you have to just deal with this.
Mm-hmm.
So as I've gotten older, I have kind of tried to build in safety mechanisms, or as I call them, to make sure I minimize my interaction with the rest of the world when it does hit, just like it is now.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, it's mild, and I'm tracking it by day using like the fitness app.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to track it now electronically to kind of get a sense of where I'm at day by day. For me, it's a year-round thing. There's days where I'm definitely better than others, and just like within the last 2 weeks, it was just a meltdown city, not pretty to watch.
Yeah.
So part of the thing in the app, it asks you about your mood and where you are, how you feel, pleasant, unpleasant, that kind of has that kind of slider
Okay.
where it goes from very unpleasant to pleasant. And then
Okay.
in between, most days I'm in a indifferent type of state. I'm not happy. I'm not sad.
Okay.
That's me as a general personality day to day for the most
Mm-hmm.
part. Um, I guess because I'm very unexcited about the world, for me to be just truly elated, it 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 takes a bit. You know, I can remember retiring from that job, and because it was a turbulent time of when I retirement, there was absolutely nothing to celebrate for me.
Right.
You know, and anybody that retires from any kind of campaign or any job or any situation where they've been there and spent a good portion of their life with us, that's a
Yeah.
major accomplishment, good, bad, or indifferent. And it should be, um, to me, celebrated as a
It
major accomplishment.
should
Now,
be.
I took it as a major accomplishment and understood what it took to get there and was appreciative of the fact of me staying in there like that. I really understood that and what that meant, because I had to tell somebody else that was retiring, you know, I don't give a fuck what nobody said. That's a major fucking accomplishment in your life,
It is.
because you spent 25 years of your life to dedicate it to that cause. Some
Yeah.
days are better than others, and some days are just fucking horrible. But the fact that you made it to the end goal, you know, that's a major accomplishment.
It is.
And I truly believe that. But because of everything else that was going on, it was a day that was very neutral,
Okay.
right? It was very neutral. And uh, I definitely wasn't sad, but I wasn't, you know, ready to throw the party parade either. I just wanted to be left alone. And that day too, I was in that kind of state of mind of a blue day. And really, if it wasn't been for all the paperwork that I had to do and all that shit and this, that, and the other, I would have stayed at home. mail me whatever you need to mail me and then
Right.
call it a fucking day.
Right.
So the thing about it, so people say, well, what kind of thing happens? I can usually feel it coming on. Um, I can go from times so I can be it can and I can be anywhere. I remember it happened to me. We was on a guy's trip in St. Louis. We were in a shoe store, and it's 4 or 5 of us. No, it was about 5 or 6 of us. And guys trip, and we just listen, we went to a shoe store just be doing some stuff, and everybody's laughing, joking, this, that, and the other, and blah blah blah. And I'm sitting in the shoe store, and boom, it hit.
Hmm.
And one of my good friends, even to this day, he said, "Man, you all right? It shifted." He said, "You shifted like that." He said, "I saw it." I was like, "Nah, I'm good. Y'all do y'all think I'm gonna just sit over here and just chill out, right?"
Hmm.
And and that was one of the times where I can pinpoint it shifting right there, and somebody else saw it,
Okay.
right? There
Yes.
was absolutely nothing going on but a good time.
Yes.
So I can't say that you know something triggered it. We just in that whole weekend was nothing but a good time, you know,
Right.
and that's how it goes, you know. Um, Now I don't know about other people because I could only imagine if I was a female and now I had the hormonal thing going on. That would probably amplify everything to a whole nother level,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So so like I said, from a child, I've been this way. So if you're a parent in the 60s and 70s and you got a kid like this, what do you do? you know, Especially we're, inner city parents, we're not, people with tons of money and you can go to all kinds of shrinks and this, that, and the other. And I'm glad we probably didn't because nowadays they wouldn't do nothing but prescribe you medication anyway.
Medication. Yes.
Right. And I'm not going to mock science in that rate because science have taken the human to a lot of heights.
Yes, it has.
But I know of side effects of some of those medications can also make the situation as good as it might start off can make things worse. And that's where a lot of people turn to the other things with drugs, alcohol, and all kinds of odd behaviors trying to make themselves feel good,
Right.
you know.
Right.
And and I think I've done that with certain things like riding motorcycles and guns and everything else, never to be a danger to anyone else, but you're just trying to make yourself feel better, right?
Right.
So you take up different hobbies and different things to try to take your mind off of things and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
The problem is now none of that works.
No, it doesn't.
So now what do? You know, and it's kind of a thing of if you're suffering from any of these things, you have to be careful of the things you let yourself get into with trying to feel better. Even something simple as retail therapy can get you in trouble.
Yes,
And
it
people
can.
say, well, what's wrong with buying a little this and a little that if it's going to make you feel better? One, it's a very temporary high. It probably lose it from the time you get from the store to the time you get home. That high is gone, right? Two, it
Yes.
causes anxiety of the whole thing about debt and this, that, and the other. I know people who use that retail therapy thing as their way of trying to get around their depressions and things, and it causes hoarding, debt, and a lot of confusion because they just don't understand. And if they have a significant other in any way, that person usually can't understand it. Only thing they see is why we got all these clothes in here with tags on them.
Right.
Why do we got 10,000 pair of shoes that haven't been worn? No, the kids don't need all that shit. You know, why you keep buying these cars? you know, it,
It's
and you're right. And 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 that's fine if you're buying and selling, but you're buying and compiling, you know, it's just not healthy. That's where sometimes you see these people who have high powered jobs or jobs that are significant, and you go into their office and it's a mess. You know, everything's just all over the place. And you're wondering
organization.
how it is they function. Right.
Right. Right.
You go into the house and you're like, how? And I remember going into houses. I've been in several houses to where there's just been trails you follow to the bedroom and the bathroom,
Yeah.
and there's stuff piled up taller than me. And I'm 5'7", 5'8", depending on what day, you know.
Right.
And there's shit piled up all the way. I went in this one house, and you come through the door. Once you leave the little area where the door was in that closet, you're greeted by this big stack of mail just piled up. And then there was a trail that led to the chair where the guy sat. There was another trail that went to the dining room where shit was just piled up all over the place. And then there's a trail that leads to the kitchen and the bedrooms and stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. It's like,
Right?
how do you function in this?
How do you function? This? And this was a married couple. And we were there for him, but I tell you, I don't know which one of them was,
The,
or if it
the
was just a combination of, I mean, wow, it was just wild. It was very wild. But I've been in several places like that, and I'm wondering how many of those people. I know a lot of those people suffer from depression and things of that nature, and there's a whole lifetime of stuff that people go through. Um, and yeah, I've got the junkie syndrome too, but not to that degree.
right.
That instantly when you walk in, you go, okay, you know. So how it starts is I don't know no catalyst. I don't know any out of the blue it starts. This time I could feel it coming.
Okay.
So some of the things I do that I think that help get through it is one of my things I used to do all the time was work out.
Okay.
I used to work out all the time, and to the point to where I had a gym access in my basement, treadmill, weights, the whole 9 yards, and I would always make sure I had decent gym equipment so I could just roll out the bed and go. Didn't have to worry about people and this, that, and the other, or something I missed. Just having that gym right there and accessible. I can get on the treadmill, walk in, and I didn't have to have this huge workout, just enough to just kind of get through things.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of the things that I did, and still do to this day. I just don't do it to the magnitude in it, because I got into really working out early and stuff, and I think those things kind of help, and that's why I continue to work out to this day. I just don't do it to the magnitude that I did back then, because back then you know it was all about being swole. So nowadays, what I do, I remember the last month or so, I've been using caffeine. So when this thing hit, I instantly cut off the caffeine stimulant, you know. But I've been trying out a new coffee. I've been on coffee for a while, and I've been trying a new coffee that is not as heavily chemically processed. And so I got off the caffeine, went to teas that have a lower level of caffeine.
Okay.
The other thing that I do that I think that helps is I increase the vitamin D
Okay.
and try to increase the vitamin D. And we're lucky at Wisconsin right now. We've got some decent weather for the last couple of days, and you see them sleeveless. So it's sunny outside. I actually went out where I would normally go for a motorcycle ride, and I'm not even motivated to do that anymore. Um, I just jumped in a truck and took a quick drive down the street to the store. Um, but I went sleeveless to get
Okay.
the vitamin D in.
Okay.
Um, and put all the windows down and just to get some air, get some sun. And I think that helps. Another thing that I do that helps, but in the wintertime, what what happens is when you don't have the sunlight like you do, and you can't go outside like this. So I started looking into, once I got I used to have my own little man cave in the basement. There would be I spent a lot of time in that basement and carving that space out, and I would go weeks without coming out, except for to take the dog out. So I would have like four at the end of the campaign of working that job. I had 4 weeks of vacation, and I would space them out and leave some days floating for days to where I knew there was going to be really rough.
Okay.
So then I'd be off work for 2 weeks at a crack and would not interact with anyone. No, wouldn't come out the basement except to go pee, eat, and take the dog out.
Mm.
And that was a routine for years,
Oh, wow.
and it worked. It you maneuver and try to work things out in your that's going to work with what your personality is, or
Yes.
what's going on, and that's kind of how I built that thing out. Um, to even now, when I'm in that mood, I do not want to to interact with people and uh, and just want to be left alone. And then when I'm forced, and I leave things hanging until I have to do it.
Right. Right.
So I have to pay this bill today. Okay, this fucker's due today. Let me pay this motherfucker. And it's like do that one task and that's it.
That's it.
And even with today, yeah, I went to the store, come back, convince myself to record, and that's a fucking rap. The rest of this shit I ain't giving flying for, and it's like, football is on and everything is on, and I give a fuck less about that shit. I'll catch the scores and the highlights, and I'm about done with it. Not that I'm the biggest fan anyway, but it it becomes one of those things. So when I'm in
Yeah.
that mode, I limit the news and the drama and the shit on TV, and I really don't give a fuck about what's going on. Blow this shit up. I don't give a fuck. Hey, I'm feeling so bad, I don't give a fuck. That's just one more thing in the barrel. Push the button, blow this shit up, and we'll all be done with it. Call it a fucking day,
No, no, but
that
I get where you're coming from.
right. So it's so that's why I say my point is to tell people that you may have somebody that is in your life, or a child that seems kind of withdrawn from the world. That's what they used to say about me. I was always kind of withdrawn from the world. Fuck your world, man. I got my own world here I'm dealing with. One of the things I tell people, I'd advise people not to do, and it's easy to do because I've done it, is to not let your day and nights get away from you. Because sleeping sometimes becomes very erratic. I know right now my sleep is very erratic. And I'll give you an example. 9-ish something, I'm in the bed because I'm feeling it really heavy. And I'm like, okay, it's nighttime anyway. I'll just go lay down. 3 in the morning, I'm back up and like, what the fuck is this? And then it's up for a couple hours and then it's, back to sleep. And it gets really erratic like that. Now, when I say let your days and nights get away from you, it's easy to pull the blinds and make everything dark.
Yes.
I've been in a position to where 3-4 days will go by and they've all seemed like one day. Only because I let the days and nights go by pulling the blinds. Okay. I've gone so far. At one time, I had dark drapes. Those no light drapes. To me, those were the greatest invention ever.
The blackout.
that and stretch pants, the greatest invention ever.
Stretch pants?
Yeah. Yoga pants, stretch pants, yeah, those things.
No, that was not the greatest invention.
The greatest invention ever. And so I put those blackout drapes in 3-4 days ago. Only you wouldn't, and if you wasn't watching TV, like I wasn't watching TV then, and that was during the COVID time, so nobody was anywhere. Nobody had to be anywhere. And I had just retired. I was a bomb. And the only interaction, he was like, well, you had to go out and go to the store. No, I only had to go outside and go down with my little wagon to retrieve my Amazon fresh. Never had to go out
You in that
except for
wagon.
that wagon, right?
Right.
But it was easy to build that system in to where I didn't have to see nobody. I didn't have to do anything. And time will go by on you, and you think it's all just still the same day.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they have these challenges of surviving. There's one guy on YouTube, Mr. Beats. He's got these challenges.
Yeah.
Surviving 100 days in jail and surviving 100 days doing this. Yeah, come on. I'll show you how to do it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay. I mean, people be like day 30 and they're going crazy. No, I'll show you how to do it.
That's scary.
I'll show
I
you how to do
mean,
it.
for me, 30 days would be a breeze because I could sit in the house for 30 days,
Right.
especially if I could get my groceries delivered to me.
Mhm.
Because I don't have a problem with not going outside, especially if it's in the wintertime. But I haven't even really been out that much this summer. So, well,
Yeah. So so that so I guess my whole point of it is to, if you have a child who's withdrawn, it's not the thing that this kid needs to be on medication.
that is correct.
You know,
That is correct.
yes, you're not going to get some answer from the medical profession that's going to be able to tell you exactly what that child or what that person is going through, because they don't know. I don't give a fuck
Nope.
how many degrees they got, and they think they studied this and studied that and this, that, and the other. One thing I know is that it will vary to the person,
Mm-hmm.
and the environment plays a part. I say because it depends on how that person can build their wall, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a kid, it's easy to build a wall. I keep my room so junky nobody wanted to come in. But it was only junky to the point of where the door was.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of it was good to go. So so the environment plays a part as to how much that person can build their wall.
Mm-hmm.
And misplaced anger can be one of those issues that they are angry because they have to interact with this thing. They're not angry at people or the, the world just in general, you know.
Right. Right.
What else did I wanted to say here? Um, you got to watch your diet. Some people don't have an appetite. Like the last few weeks, I haven't had a real appetite. Especially
Mm-hmm.
last week, I don't think I ate but 2, 3 days, maybe, and that was just something simple. It wasn't anything. Yeah, we all need a better diet, with more nutrition
Correct.
and whatnot.
Right.
But Um, one of the things that I try to do is watch my diet all the time. Not that it's the best diet all the time, but it's easy for you to fall down. And now, once you get an appetite back, you start eating some of everything, and that's not healthy for you. So that and I watch my caffeine, I watch stimulants, I watch the sugar intake, which is a stimulant. I don't drink anymore, but when I did drink, yes, it did get one-sided. It's easy to get one-sided when you're trying to make things go away, and you become an alcoholic because you just want the pain to go away.
Yeah.
And all the other side effects with the alcohol eventually catch up with you because they caught up with me. Luckily, I have the discipline to not go down that road anymore. Not a lot of people do, and this is where you get really strange behaviors, people getting involved in crime and doing things that you ordinarily wouldn't do.
Mhm.
You know, um, you ever hit, and we all have these people in their family. They're so nice when they're not drinking.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
so nice when they're not on drugs or this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. But
Yep.
they're fighting this thing and wanting the pain to go away. You know,
Yeah.
I've had people that have left suicide notes saying that they just want the pain to go away. Not that they really wanted to kill themselves. They wanted the pain to go away. I had this one kid who he was not trying to kill himself. So every time we would come in contact with him, I'm not trying to kill myself.
Mhm.
I'm trying to kill this thing in my head, you know.
Mhm.
And that's kind of the thing. What it is, you wanted the pain to go away,
Mhm.
regardless of whether you could see something on a brain scan or not, see something physically or not.
Mhm.
That's a real thing to him.
Mhm.
You know, it's a real event that's happening. You know,
Mhm.
I think I come in contact with this kid 3 times for a suicide call. You know, and each time, by the second time, he knew me. You know, and he said, "You know me. I'm not trying to kill." I said, "Dude, I know. I get it. You're not trying to kill yourself. You're trying to kill the pain that's bothering your head. I get it. I get it."
Mhm.
And the problem with that was that I had no other resources except for the what was
What was offered.
available through the state or the city to give
Okay.
him as far as counseling and mental health stuff and this, that, and the other. But I got it. I definitely got it. What he was saying, but dude, I get you 100%. You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
so it becomes so you have a person that's in a crisis.
Mhm.
Not only did I didn't know how to what to do, motherfuckers didn't know what to do either.
Right.
But they got all the PhDs and this, that, and the other. And I'm not trying to beat them up. You know,
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
you if you're in that field, you have to be in that field because you give a fuck. Otherwise, you're gonna go crazy. You know,
Yeah.
it'll you'd have to be a different type of person to be in that field and not have some kind of empathy towards the people that you are working with. You know,
Yeah.
and the fact that you don't know how to help this person, I
Mhm.
would think would drive you a little screwy too.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to beat them up at all.
Right. Because all
Um,
the answers are not textbook answers or
this is
medication
correct.
answers. It's like
Yeah.
it's an experience. It's like, okay, and I don't care how you try to figure it out. Yeah, I'm sure they do have cases that they just cannot figure it out.
Well, and yeah, there was always people we came across that always they had tried every medication under the sun. They went through this type of therapy, went through that type of therapy, and things of that nature. And recently, when I watched the Don't Die Do Brian Johnson, and he was talking about his depression and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of his was caused was was elevated by the um, the circumstances around not being happy with those circumstances.
Hmm. Hmm.
Right. The last few years, not the last few years, the last 20 years or so, I could say those type of factors didn't help it,
Hmm.
but they weren't the cause. And so I tried to dissect this thing of is there things that happened when I was a kid that made this thing a catalyst or that was nah. uh, Childhood was like a childhood like any other kid, shit happens, don't get me
Hmm.
wrong, shit happens, but there's nothing there that I could pinpoint that was that tragic, even to the point of, of what happened between my mom and dad. That was not that traumatic to where I would be like that. Plus, I've been this way even before that,
Hmm.
so it's one of those things where not every person that has suffers through depression or any kind of thing has something from their childhood that they're trying to bury or whatever. Now, now, if you really want to go in the realm, you know, is it some past life shit? you know, uh, I don't know. That may be. I don't know. It's not something that I've explored because I'm living in the now. You know,
Right.
uh, so and I really don't worry about it. If I ever get
R-
the opportunity to, I would, but it's just not something I've seeked out to try to do. Um, so the that's uh that's the thing is to not you may not understand your child if they are kind of withdrawn and whatnot, and they're not going to be able to communicate why they're withdrawn or what's going on. They they just got into this world and they don't fucking know. You know, I'm almost 6 years old. It took me to this long to even be really verbal with it. In my
Yeah.
in my adult years of like after 30s or so, I would just say it's just a blue day. And that's what I knew. It's a blue time, it's just a blue time. It'll pass, it'll pass and this, that, and the other, and eventually it does. It does. Sometimes it's longer than others, sometimes it's a couple weeks, sometimes it's months. Uh, it, it just is what it is. But I guess I'm compelled because we have we have people out there who are just totally lost on the situation. And the reason I started researching once the internet hit,
Mm-hmm.
that's when more information became available. And I would look up depression and uh, I heard the term winter blues and things of that nature and blah blah blah. And so I started researching and got on that pathway with it, and that's kind of where I got more information. That no, it's not just me. There's other people that suffer to this thing to the point to where they study it and whatnot, but nobody has a definitive as to, other than medication, how to really deal with those times, you know. And that's the thing. So that's the thing. I guess the point I'm trying to get through is that you're going through those times. Don't let your days and nights get away from you with the black blinds and things of that nature. That's a failure. In my it only makes you kind of psych yourself out. You know,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
watch your stimulants use, watch your caffeine usage, sugar intake, watch your diet, get some exercise, even though I don't get the exercise like I used to, but it's still like today. I walked with the weighted vest and made sure I got out and got some sun. I should have walked out in the sun today, but I just didn't. I didn't feel it and that's the other thing it does too. You just don't feel like doing nothing. And it's not a lazy feeling. It's a very daunting sadness type of feeling. You know, here's the way I describe it.
Okay.
Picture yourself with the loss of a loved one and just hearing that news and the shock of it.
Okay.
Take that feeling and have to deal with it multiple days over and over again. That's what it feels like.
Mm.
And when I say a loved one, I mean someone that you really, really love, like a parent or child or something like that. And then you multiply that over days of feeling that. You lose a loved one, you never really get over it, but life goes on, right?
Exactly.
Picture this just happening out of the blue and they last weeks on end, months on end, and you come out of it a little bit and you function, and then you get hit again. So within a year span, you're probably feeling the effect of losing multiples of loved ones within a year span. And that feeling and that weight and that sadness, that's what it feels like. And I used to, you go through all the emotions of why me,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Right.
we come from the generation when you suck that shit up and you keep it moving. Right? That's how I was able to do that job for 25 fucking plus years. Cause even on my worst day, I still have somebody in front of me that's having a worse day.
Correct.
Right. So
Right.
what I do, you suck that shit up and you keep moving. Right.
Yep.
I'm not saying that's the best way to go about it, especially in the modern time. But for my generation, that's all we had. You just suck
Yeah.
that shit up and you keep moving. All right.
Right.
So hopefully, um, someone will get some value of what I'm saying, and uh, hopefully, some child doesn't have to suffer like I did. You know.
Yeah.
I'd like to apologize for the sudden stop in the podcast. And I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Her Love, His Peace. Please like, comment, and subscribe wherever you receive your podcasts. And if you know someone that is uh, suffering like I do, please share the video with them and let them know that they're not alone. Until next time.